Archetypes, Why We Do What We Do, written by Aaron Huey and Martina Kodrin, now available on Amazon in paperback and on Kindle.
I was talking to this friend of mine who is very much a bard. She's also been working a lot on herself, and she was telling me how, in her relationship, she's been having problems because she doesn't know how to connect with her very much warrior wizard boyfriend, so she's been trying to tone down her emotions, be more logical, be more reasonable, but they seem to keep, banging their heads together. So have you ever had any, that sort of experience, or what would you suggest to someone like that in that type of relationship?
We write about the warrior and the bard relationship in the book, and just how passionate and emotional and fiery and Armageddon Nirvana the whole experience is. So if I had this couple sitting down in front of me and I was coaching their relationship, the first thing that I would say is that bards and warriors, when they step into the self-help arena, when they start doing work on themselves, they start reading relationship books, they go to therapy, they get coaching, they attend a seminar, they go into that personal responsibility space, which is, I'm not in any way, shape, or form discounting it or putting it down or calling it bad. But warriors and bards are very good at saying, oh my God, like I need to change. I need to fix this. And they take the work on the bard because this audience that they have, the ones closest to them, the ones that they love, the ones that they get so much energy and love, life force energy from, is suffering. As much as your friend, the bard, is watching this warrior wizard partner of hers be frustrating in his own right or their own right, they are taking responsibility for the happiness of the other person. Now, that is where the rubber is actually going to hit the road in this relationship. Your friend's happiness is your friend's responsibility. Your friend's partner's happiness is your friend's partner's responsibility. This warrior wizard must reflect on their own behavior. Now, the warrior is willing and the wizard is wise. So the wizard is going to, and I've got a wizard in my life, a family member who is very much in the self-reflective space. It's torture to watch them analyze themselves, because they'll go into their vent process. They'll spew everything and then stop and reverse the process about themselves. They'll just vent about themselves and how they've done everything wrong and they've screwed it up. And they constantly say, they're screaming at me, but I know I've never, and they're angry with me. And I know that everybody has to first, and I believe this is generic relationship advice. Everybody take responsibility for yourself. Everybody take responsibility for 50% of the relationship. Everybody do that and meet halfway on the bridge. Now, archetypally, this is what we're asking for. This bard who's saying, I need to, compress my emotional experience so that they're more comfortable and can relate to me. Okay. 50%, not 100%. And if you remember that in compressing one of your primal aspects, whether you're a warrior, wizard, jester, bard, compressing your primal expression, your primal archetypic expression, so that someone else is happy, is creating a worse environment because you're going to start resenting. I can't be myself around them.
Yep.
Now, expanding yourself, saying, yes, 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 I'm very wizard. Or yes, 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 of course, I am so bard. Oh my God, I'm so dramatic. And I'm going to cry. I'm going to scream. I'm going to throw myself into the fetal position on the floor and shake like I'm, just seeing the face of the angel of death, when really we're just having an argument. Yes. Me. And then temper that with your warrior side, where you get up, dust yourself off, start again, and take action. Or you temper that with your wizard side, where you now evaluate the outcome of this argument. And in a very analytical way, go through a process of what worked, what didn't work, and what could you do differently next time. But we're not trying to imprison the bard. We're not trying to imprison the warrior or wizard. We're trying to say, in this conversation, and how beautiful is this consciousness, to say, in this conversation, Martina, if you and I were arguing about something in the book, and then we sat down and said, okay, stop, we're going in circles. I'm going to be the wizard now, and you be the bard. And we really step into the part of ourselves that we tend to resist or avoid when we are uncomfortable, because it creates more discomfort. So suddenly you go into the artistic, creative, connection, communicative, and you be nice to me, and I go into the critical wizard, and I tell you everything that's wrong with the idea that you just had. And of course, I'm making fun, but we're doing it on purpose. And most likely what's going to come up is laughter and smiles, and we'll mess it up. And if we are conscious enough that we're calling ourselves out of it, this becomes a collaborative, correct, and continue process, rather than me saying, I just need to stop being bard. No, you don't. And your partner doesn't need to stop being warrior and wizard. We need to expand into the others that we are avoiding because it's not comfortable. That's unconscious behavior. And as we have always said, no relationship, no business, no parenting experience is going to be successful accidentally. We're going to do this on purpose, or we're going to spin in our unconscious circles.
Exactly. Like we also say in the book, you cannot, like you just said, become successful in anything unconsciously, but you can slide into the profane. So the unconscious, you can get worse unless you actively get better. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Accidentally get worse. Accidentally make it worse. That's how that's what happens when we don't pay attention. That's when we're not on our purpose. And so you step into that moment. And what if you could step into that moment with your significant other, whether it's in business, in parenting, or in relationship, to say, and everybody go first. Everybody be the first one to start. Be the one who starts. That's the key. You're waiting for the other person to do it differently. You do it differently. You start. Now I hear the question, what if they then either stay and fix it or leave?
Exactly.
And that's very warrior. That's very wizard. It's very black and white, all or nothing. But it's for you. It's not for them. And that's where therapy comes in. If you're at I have to stay and make this work, or I have to leave, then you're in a therapeutic spot. Coaching is not going to help. Coaching is motivation to make a touchdown. Coaching is motivation to score a goal. Therapy is when you've got to make a massive life change and you're ready to call it off and walk out the door, and it is going to plunge you into chaos. That's not bad. Don't be afraid of chaos. The Jester is unafraid of chaos, and the warrior is unafraid of chaos. So don't be afraid of the chaos, but do it consciously. And it's really hard to do chaos consciously because there's no outcome to rely on. There's no form or shape to use as the boundaries or a guideline. It's chaos. By definition, there is nothing there to rely on other than chaos. Again, the warrior and the Jester can thrive in that environment. The warrior, because they have a brain of chaos. That environment matches the way their brain looks at situations and analyzes potential dangers, and they can survive chaos. The Jester just says, well, I'm here now. That's all they say. I'm in this chaos now. It's chaotic, and I'm here with it. Conscious warriors, conscious Jesters. Unconscious, none of this is going to work anyway.
I couldn't agree more. Like, I just kept nodding and I have nothing to add. I agree with, the other person shouldn't have the responsibility to make you happy. Only you can do that for yourself. And yes, we do need to step into the discomfort, because that's where growth is, right? Nothing ever grows unless it's something different or uncomfortable or challenging. But then you look back, like, for example, we were just past New Year's, and a lot of the people will look back on the previous year. And then you look at it and you go, wow, like from day to day, you might not feel like you're doing anything or making any steps or whatever. But then you look back a year and you go, wow, stuff did grow because I did this and this and this consciously.
I think a big part of our book is the process of practicing living on purpose, not finding your purpose. And we write that this book is not about finding your purpose. This is about living on your purpose. And I'm not talking about your external purpose, your personality purpose, and being who you are purposefully and expanding into the other parts of you that have been suppressed, that have been eclipsed, that have been on purpose. You know, if you, the artist within us, this warrior bard partner, maybe it's time for this warrior bard partner to step into their bard and to truly share their heart. Warriors live behind their armor and shield. Wizards, they understand their brain and their thoughts and their thinking. They don't understand their heart and their belly and their emotions. Bards understand that. Well, then maybe it's time. Like, remember, Martina, you and I were laughing once about the excuse that men make around, you know, well, I was never taught how to cry. And it's like, oh, you know that, do you? So now what? You're just going to say, well, I was never taught? That's you living in the past. That's you trying to excuse yourself from actually feeling what you feel. Well, I wasn't allowed to. Yes, but you're not living there anymore. So
30,
what are
40,
you going
50 years ago, right?
Right, 40, 50 years ago. Well, my dad, my mom would make fun of me. They would punish me. I get it. But now you have an opportunity to practice being all of you. Like that's what we're talking about. Practice being all of you, not just the part you were allowed to be or that you're comfortable being, but practice being all of you. This past year, and it's been a year plus of me just living in the Jester space. I have lived out of a suitcase for over a year now. I've seen amazing things. I've been desperately homesick. I've been everything, but I'm practicing. Being a Jester as a child was never honored. I'm a Gen Xer. I was medicated for it. I was punished. I was sat in the corner. I was grounded. I was put in the quiet room and I got detention. Right? My school experience was you are not allowed to be that because you will fail. My life experience is that being this has shown me the world. I've met some of the greatest people, absolute soulmates for my whole life. One of them I've written a book with. Two of them I've written a book with. Like it's not. This is about practicing being all of you. So I get it. Well, I'm a bard and he's a wizard, or she's a jester and I'm a warrior, and we can't practice on purpose. And if one of you is unwilling, maybe you got to go warrior or wizard mode and call it off. Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe you need therapy and stick it out.
Exactly. It's like you said to me once, like, what would it look like if for the next 3 months you made decisions as a bard? For me, that's not my...
Right.
I don't want to say it's not my natural archetype, because I have a feeling it is, but it was just suppressed because of my home environment where, you know, being logical and stuff like that was of higher value. But yeah, what would it look like? You have nothing to lose if you start maybe acting a bit more like another archetype. So yeah, just you saying that, you know, be more of what you already are, not what you were taught to be, what you were prevented to be, none of that. Even just saying that feels so good. Now imagine what it will feel like if you actually lived like the true you, moment to moment, even if moment to moment that's something different, because we all have all of the archetypes inside us, right? But then with practice, you can actually learn how to switch from them for your best benefit and the best benefit of everyone around you. And that's what actually this book is about.
Let's now make this this exercise a very warrior wizard experience for the sake of people who are saying, you know, what, practice being a jester? What, practice being a bard? Practice being? Start with what you've been comfortably for as long as you can remember. Start with you truly identifying which of the archetypes you express, and then consciously practice it, consciously recognize it. Practice recognizing consciously that what you are doing is reinforcing your behavior. So here's what we're saying. If you're a wizard and you've read the book and you're like, yeah, I really got to be my warrior, that's not where you start. You start by consciously being your wizard, right? If you're all bard, and you're like, I really need to warrior up in this life. Like, I have no boundaries. I am a psychic vampire at times. I feel everybody's feeling, and my whole life is about making other people happy, and I put myself last. This is not who I truly am. I'm wearing costumes and making fetal position on the floor, shaking, sucking your thumb. And everybody stops and applauds and scene, right? Full bard. And you go, I need to warrior up. First, really consciously practice being your bard on purpose. Recognize every bard moment. How long? I don't know, wizard. 2 days, 2 months, 2 years, whatever you need. I know you didn't like that answer, but start with 2 days. Start with 2 days and just go, wow. Like, I get that phone call where my boss says, no, today wasn't a good day, and they hang up, and I take it personally. Why are they mad at me? They're not, right? Everything they said has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. Shields up. And you just one moment go, oh, that's my warrior. Where I say, it has nothing to do with me and everything to do with them. Maybe they got an argument with their spouse. Maybe their kid, is failing a math test, and they help their kid study, and they're really stressed about their kid. Maybe their car broke down. You don't know them. And so shield up. This is not yours. It's theirs.
I'm so glad you said that, because the warrior isn't about just being, attacking and going into motion and stuff like that. It's also boundaries and protecting yourself. Yeah.
Well, and that's the symbol of the armor. That's the symbol of the shield and the helm. You can't see me, and you can't touch me, and you can't hurt me. I am safe inside this shell that I created for my protection.
Yeah.
Right? And all healthy relationships have boundaries. It's kind of amazing. If you look at bard relationships, the only thing that's unhealthy about them, it's not the level of passion and sadness and joy you feel when you're in love. It's the lack of boundaries that you possess. It's the lack of your own decisions about what you're comfortable with and what you want. Look at what's happening with your friend and their partner. This warrior wizard. Warrior wizards can become extremely invasive on your psyche because they don't tend to hold back what they say, because they're not considering how other people feel about what they're saying or feeling or being. The warrior, he's probably if it's a he's probably in bulldozer mode. And if it's a wizard, he's like, this is not logical. Why are you acting like this? Right? Hear what I said. Why are you acting like this? Right? And when you call out a bard on their expression, on their emotional expression, you can't cut them any deeper than that.
Yeah.
They're sharing their heart
very
with
personal.
you. Yeah. They're sharing their soul with you, their heart with you at all times. Should they? Absolutely not. Like, you have to have a boundary. Sharing your heart and soul at all times, wearing your heart on your sleeve, tends to lead to you getting your heart hurt.
Especially if it's from people pleasing, like we already mentioned. Yeah, if it's from making sure everyone around you feels good, but then how do you feel?
So what's the practice? In martial arts, everything is in a circle, in a line, and those lines and circles begin to create angles. So if someone comes on a linear attack, now I'm speaking full warrior now, but I want every warrior and I want wizards who can picture what I'm saying to put this in emotional terms. If all of your connections with your opponent, your violent physical connections with your opponent in war, are straight on, hard out, bare-chested like an old Celt wearing nothing but woad, then anybody who understands the warrior culture will understand what I just said. Against a Roman soldier who's shielded up, armored up, and in a phalanx, a very boundaried defensive, offensive maneuver, the craziness of that full heart, white limed hair, woaded, naked warrior screaming is only so effective. The moment you cut one of them, you realize that they're just human and they bleed. They can scream. So the warrior moves on an angle. You start to create angles. So that straight line reflects. This is an emotional boundary. This is a boundary. It's a physical boundary, but you can translate this experience to an emotional boundary. Something's coming straight at you. You turn sideways and you limit the width of the target. And then you deflect them. Aikido deflects them and then moves them in the circle using their own energy back towards them. All right? That's more advanced warrior thinking. Emotions-wise, what this person is expressing has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. So bards, hold up a shield every now and then and don't take it on. Sounds easier than it really is, I know, but it's a practice. That's why you don't start by being everything else. You start by consciously being yourself. Consciously be yourself, and then consciously practice the other parts of you. This entire book is about being yourself.
I was just going to point that out. I was just going to point that out. Yeah. Learn who you really are and then set appropriate boundaries.
Right.
From,
all healthy relationships have boundaries.
Exactly. All right. Awesome. Buy the book.
Great. You buy the book. Learn more. Go to Amazon and get the book and learn more.